Today is going to be the final lecture, and it's going to be on ethics and bias. And we will try our best to cover everything that we have here. But if we not get to the end of it, then the rest is going to be readings. A couple of announcements before we get started. So you have a couple of more assignments, I believe, that you have to submit. One or two? Two. One bonus and one the required one. Submit them on time. No extensions, no slacks. And the other announcement is about the exam. So the exam for those who are online and for those who are in person, although different exams, have been posted. And if you want to do your exam online, by all means, it's going to be the same exam that we will have here. So if you want to do the exam in person, then you have to, well, if you want to do the exam online, I think this is going to be the better option. If you want to do the exam online, then you have to let me know before the day of the exam. Okay? And you can take the exam online anytime you want. So it's open right now, and it closes on the day of the exam, end of the day, right? Midnight. Okay? It's going to be 70 minutes only. Yeah.
So how should we inform you? Just send you an email?
Email. Shoot me an email. Maybe that did here also. Yeah. So they take account into that.
And since it's online, will it be graded automatically?
Automatic. You will see your grade immediately. Yep. Any questions? Okay. Yeah.
The one that didn't seem like the offline one.
Yes, it's the same exact one. It's not like only the same structure, it's also the same question. So I already printed the exam, and I really like not printed. I'm not print because I need to count. But I already have the exam typed, and I have the exam already posted online. And it's gonna be the same questions, the same order of the questions, the same tricks of the true false, the same tricks of the multiple choice. So be careful when you are everything. I mean, I can be careful. Just read the questions I gave you, right? The 200 questions. The SPI is out, so fill that as soon as possible. Those who took the classes with me, if you basically reach the 80% mark of responses, I don't care what is in the responses, but responses 80%, you'll get your final grade as soon as possible, including the report. Okay? As soon as possible means like, as soon as you finish the final, like second midterm. Okay? Questions? Any questions? All right, so let's go over this. This is going to be about ethics and bias in natural language processing. And for those who took like the security class with me, this has a little bit of an overlap. So we'll go over ethical risks in NLP, algorithmic and social biases, two types of biases, harm and misclassification, bias auditing and mitigation, governance and responsible deployment, and summary and takeaways. So let's get started. First, let's go over the objectives. So the objective of this class is to get you to understand what is the ethical and risk dimension of using AI in general, NLP in particular. So identify core ethical risks in NLP, bias, privacy, misuse, and dual use, and understand the sources of algorithmic and social biases in data and models, analyze real-world case studies of harm and misclassification, examine methods for bias auditing and mitigation, and evaluate governance and responsibility in deploying LLMs. So let's get started with the ethical risks in NLP. The core ethical challenges in natural language processing systems would be like multiple faults, like multiple kind of cases of the of the risks, I would say, or challenges. They are risks actually. The first one is algorithmic risks. So the algorithmic risk, as the name indicates, happens to come with algorithms, and it's going to be when the NLP models reproduce an amplified bias present in the training data. Again, the training data in general that we have for LLMs in particular, and just like general NLP systems, is going to be a collection of data that's gathered from online sources, right? And so whatever like nasty language being used to characterize the social fabric out there is going to be spilled out in the training process. Without filters, you'll have the issue. So the source is going to be a representation bias, so you have implicit data sets, or historical bias like social inequalities embedded in the data set itself. Or the measurement bias. So like, for example, incorrect task formulation. When a task is supposed to be about, like, say, for example, let's say sentiment, and when you just like, characterize the wrong sentiment in the underlying data. The other one is privacy and surveillance, and we are living that time and age where LLMs are being used for just gathering a lot of information about individuals and spitting this information out without any safeguards. So NLP systems can inadvertently memorize and leak private data like names, addresses, anything. Issues in models like GPT-2 and 3 that memorize rare training sequences. And so this is another risk. The other one is misinformation and abuse. So natural language processing systems power deepfake, synthetic news, and propaganda bots. And the thing that we have seen recently in the news, President Trump has just put like an image of Christ. For those who do not know who's Christ, they will think that Trump is Christ. So this is misinformation and abuse. So the example here is LLM generated persuasive fake news articles. Could have a damaging impact. So all in all, we need to kind of move away from those and then understand how they work. And that is not always easy because models are considered like a black box. So it's very difficult to audit them or explain the decision boundaries for them, how they make certain decisions. In high-stake application settings like healthcare, law, hiring, you need to have that transparency and accountability element embedded in them. And then finally, the social impact of all of this is that deployed NLP systems could affect job prospects, core decisions, mental health tools, raising the questions of fairness and liability. And so maybe something that you're not really, some of you might have known of this, it's core decisions. And so there was, like it was in the news a couple of years ago, where the criminality of individuals has been assessed using facial features of individuals, images, right? Facial features in images. And so also we'll go over that in the example. We had it like also previously in the NLP, in the AI component of the security course, like sexuality, criminality, whatnot. There has been like some risky kind of research, pseudoscience that has been looking into that. And so there's a risk in that. So, okay, let's go over the algorithmic and social bias. That was an intro. X's means important here. So gender bias in resume screening, this is something that has been demonstrated as a case study. So system description, Amazon trained a model in 2014, 2017 to identify top candidates from resumes. And the bias manifestation in that kind of system, so it penalized resumes with terms like women's, chess, club, captain, favored male coded language. And that is because maybe the training data set that they had for the successful candidates have been more leaning towards those kind of attributes. Technical root cause, so training data is skewed by historical male-dominated tech hiring and model implicitly learned gender correlated proxies. The outcome was the project was scraped before deployment after internal audits. And the lessons learned is that bias amplification is a real issue. It happens silently unless proactively checked. And even unsupervised language models like embeddings can encode gender and race cues because, again, the unsupervised kind of learning component is going to be just like an aggregate of what is out there publicly, and this could embody the or encode in a way the bias that we have. The reference of this was Reuters investigation in 2018. Look at the story online. The other one is stereotypes in generative language models. So the problem observed when prompting GPT-3, this is like the 4 generations before the current GPT, with phrases like two Muslims walked into and then asked it to complete. And so often led to violent or extremist completions, kind of, manifesting or extending the stereotype. Women, minority groups, stereotypes by profession or attributes. Like, for example, if you say like a nurse is going to be a woman, doctor is going to be a man, engineer is going to be a man. So, those kinds of things. We will have some examples of that soon. Technical cause of that, again, the pre-training on large amount of data is a good thing. It just helps you with all sorts of things like proficiency or whatnot. But also, when unmoderated data is used for these kind of training, then it will embed the cultural biases that we all know of. Reinforcement through scaling. So large language models are more fluent, but not necessarily more fair, as mentioned earlier. And ethical challenges in this space. Bias is hard to detect during generation because you have a large amount of possible outcomes. So there is no static labels. And then debiasing post hoc is non-trivial. Can affect the model fluency and alignment. And this is not something they want to run into. The reference for this one is Binder et al., Jennifer Binder from University of Washington. 2021. The work title is On the Dangers of Stochastic Parrots. As a result of this work, actually, someone got fired from Google. Do you guys remember that story? Yeah. She.
Oh,
It's just like, was a co-author of that, and Google at the time was investing a lot of money in that space, and she got fired as a result of this paper. So be careful what you say. All right, another real-world harm from faculty from faulty translation. So the incident was Arabic phrase by a Palestinian worker, auto-translated by Facebook to attack them. That was in Israel. Like the person was in the West Bank. And was translated by the auto translation type of system on Facebook, translating some statement when like something like good morning, translated into attack them. Good morning in Arabic. I don't know like what you used, to be honest, but like there are a lot of like versions of good morning. This is the thing about Arabic. You can express express like a given idea with so many type of words. And the literal translation might not be, make it. And so that was attacked them. The consequence, arrested and detained by Israeli police, released after verification. Technical problem, lack of dialectical distinctions. So modern standard Arabic versus colloquial Palestinian Arabic. And the absence of context-aware translation from formal languages also is another issue. So the wider issue, again, this is just an example. We do not want to read too much into it. The wider issue that we have here is over-reliance on natural language processing and high-risk kind of applications will get you in trouble. Post-mortem, Facebook apologized and improved the moderation filters. That this is not really something that is crazy, just somebody saying good morning to the universe in his or her own language, and that just like backfired. Ethical takeaways: NLP systems have false evidence, can amplify false evidence, and accountability gaps when AI outputs are taken at face value. The reference for this one was The Guardian, October 2017. Any questions? Okay, so story. Racial bias in sentiment scores. So the problem, it was sentiment analysis API produced more negative scores for sentences with African American names or dialect features. And the root cause for that was a training on racial linguistic diversity that lacked racial linguistic diversity, and models treated non-standard English as informal or negative. Okay. Technical insight, word embeddings reflect this social bias through coherent statistics and example, black sounding names closer in vector space to negative words oftentimes, right? Curse or whatnot. Implications, the deployed API can be discriminatory downstream effects in hiring, policing, and credit scoring. How many of you know that credit scoring, like banks use AI nowadays for scoring you based on your credit history? How many of you know that? When you like, sign for services, they just like bury it in the statement, right? You know that, right? So it's very dangerous. I mean, my credit score has been like 830, 840, whatever that is. And that is because I never signed for anything. I just like had my credit card since I came to this country and never like, thought about just having new ones. But be careful what you sign up for. So, right, especially if you are like, from minority class. So you need to be very careful. And especially if you have like online presence too. Implications of that, the deployed API can be discriminatory, and the response was techniques like debiasing embeddings or counterfactual data augmentation have been introduced and used heavily. The reference for that was Saab et al., Saab is the name of person, the risk of racial bias in hate speech detection. All right, so dual use. What is dual use? We have talked about that. It's technology that we create for good, but can be used for bad, okay? Everything almost is dual use nowadays, right? So it's deployed, like the dual use technology is deployed for beneficial purposes, but can also be exploited for harmful ends. Common in fields like chemistry, biology, and now AI and NLP. But again, I would say that everything that we have around, like social media platforms, for example, they are supposed to be for good, but they're used for harm. This harm can be also like, all sorts of harm, not necessarily like security harm. Could be addiction harm, right? Or isolation or social problems or whatnot. Example, chatbots for mental health versus chatbots for manipulation and scams, like the one that Facebook has created. Summarization tools for accessibility versus condescending propaganda. That is Quora. How many of you use Quora English? Quora? Anybody uses it? Nobody uses it anymore? Okay, you are a young generation. So it's like, the shitbed of the propaganda. Like you'll find like fringe groups, like the extremist of all the groups, left, right, middle, whatever, extremist there. And they are AI bots. Summarization tool. Speaking of AI bots, how many of you have been following the news in East Europe? I think it was Romania, where they caught 7 individuals who have 49,000 SIM cards with 1.5 million fake accounts on social media.
Oh, really?
You've seen that? You've seen that? It was like last week. Come again?
They're all over the place. Like,
All over. No, those are civilian guys have that much of like resources. The idea is tempting. I mean, like I can, I shouldn't say that in recording, but I can afford that kind of infrastructure. What kind of things I can do with that, right?
Yeah.
It's like $100,000. You'll be able to get that,
said
right?
SIM cards.
They have like it was 49,000 SIM cards,
Yeah, a lot of people.
like hooked into like it's beautiful. When you see it, it's beautiful. Like as a tech guy, I was like, I want to put my hands on this because I know like what's the installation of this? How do they like do the routing, the multiplexing? All of those ideas are like tempting.
How do you make each account?
Account and they're like synchronize them, do like the great noise like. Accounts from my accounts like would be fighting each other to create noise, to create the sense of conflict between people, to engage real people into like siding with one side over the other. It's crazy. It's like experimental, like test bed. Very nice. Come again? It's illegal. Yes. Yeah, I think in the US we have the it's illegal across multiple laws. Yeah. It's illegal. Actually, like opinion manipulation is very illegal in the US. Extremely illegal. That's why like they had like the big issue with the Cambridge Analytica, right? Anyway, so examples again, chatbots in mental health can be used for manipulation, propaganda versus summarization, machine translation, for communication versus spreading misinformation. LLMs as dual use systems. So the positive use, good stuff. The negative use is going to be reading phishing emails, malware, code, spam, and disinformation at a scale. And we have some guardrails for those kind of applications, but oftentimes they fail, and they fail miserably. And especially if you have like local deployed system, they will just fail. Key insights: LLMs lower the barrier for entry for sophisticated attacks, previously requiring expertise. And so the real world example is GPT-2, withheld at first release due to fears of misuse and fake news propagation or generation. Okay, harm and misclassification is one aspect of ethics. Let's go over that. So known misuses of NLP technologies would include automated disinformation campaigns, scalable social engineering, toxicity and hate speech amplification, deep fake text for legal or academic fraud. Some of you know that. Like forged articles or legal argumentation or evidence in digital forms. And so there is like a great work here from 2018 that looks into the malicious use of AI and enumerate like those cases and many others. So phishing versus via AI generated emails. One of my undergrad students is nowadays working on that, looking into like how AI can be used to facilitate phishing more effectively. Bless you. GPT-3 used to generate highly personalized spear phishing emails. Give me 1 second. Let me finish my point. Experimental findings. So participants found AI-generated emails harder to distinguish, and the implication of that. And by the way, if you have been working in the phishing space, security researchers, you'll find that the classical phishing data sets, they are a little bit weird in the sense that you will have the benign ones to be like, for example, the Enron. How many of you know Enron, the company? The energy company, right? So they have the Enron data set as the benign, and then they will have like whatever thing that's talk about finance and send me money and whatnot as the phishing ones. So they are like, easily separatable kind of emails because, in the business world, you talk about like meetings, appointments, calendar, business deals, whatnot. And the other one, you ask, send me money. What is the likelihood of somebody in Enron saying like, send me money? Not much. So here, what they do with AI is that they will mimic the emails, the true emails, like very well, while hiding the intentions behind the words, okay? And so the reference for that was Comar 2021, fine-tuned language models are zero-shot fishers. Go ahead, what is your question?
Yeah, so, well, not a question, something to kind of add, it's good, because the last 2 days in a row, I've actually gotten what seem to be some kind of AI generated emails from people at a company called Leidos, who are like senior recruiters.
I realize, yeah.
Yeah, and they're essentially emailing me as if it's some AI thing summarized what's on my LinkedIn or resume, but the emails are from Gmails, not actual like email addresses, and some of those things definitely look fake, so I think it might be some AI involved.
Sure, sure.
So kind of it's nice.
Yeah, that happens more often than we think, yeah.
Yeah.
Definitely. All right, so the cost of misclassification. So misclassification is not just technical error, it can have real world consequences. High stake applications would include healthcare, hiring admissions, college admissions. Nowadays, they use AI for like screening students, like, filtering students. And it's like really crazy, like, admission rates all over the country. I've seen like, Princeton this year, it's like 4%, 3%, 2%, 2.5%. What the heck is going on there? Like, do we have that many people who want to go to Princeton? Any one of you wants to go to Princeton?
No.
Right? I would not go there.
Yeah.
I kind of follow this. But they use AI, and now like the misclassification in this space would be like 2.5%. You have like a 2.4% chance, but now like suddenly that 2.5% is could be just like deflated by the AI. So hiring admission is another application. So this could be like maybe if you are using an AI that is trained on those like terrible data sets that have some bias in them, then there's going to be amplified, including like gender coded language or race related, or maybe reinforcing some systematic inequalities. Counter-amelioration is another aspect. So classifying dialects like AAV, African American vernacular English, can be kind of labeled as toxic speech that might lead to disproportionate silencing. Not that we need silencing here, like with the feel and the fear that we are being monitored, surveilled all the time. I think that like many people just like hold back their speech because of the fear, right? But that can add to this. Legal and surveillance applications, so natural language processing tools are used in a crime detection or risk assessment, and may misclassify harmless language as threatening, especially for marginalized groups, if their way of speaking is that. I'll give you this example. So in Korean language, in Arabic language, the word kill does not mean kill. Like your mom gets like, oh, if I put my hands on you, I'll kill you. It does not necessarily mean that she will kill you. Would she kill you? Right? We didn't say that in English, right? Yeah? We're not saying that in English. But there's like an extreme emotional thing. You'll find that in Italian too. Anybody speaks Italian? Yeah, the word like, like a harsh love, kill. That's like a degree of love.
In this world, I'm gonna take you out.
Yeah.
Okay?
I brought you into this world.
Oh, yeah. It's like a more polite kind of expression, right? It's the same meaning, the same like intention, the same semantics, but they are very like indirect language. Because here we have like what's that? Child protection service. We have a law that protects them, young kids. All right. Okay, so to our main point, language can be rich, and so people can use the language to express their ideas in certain ways, like everyday ideas in certain ways. And then if you are using like a normalized type of system that takes into like this takes this data for its training without the distinguishing between those different dialects or different usage, then we are in trouble. Okay, you're going to amplify issues. So understanding social context is another issue. So language is socially situated. The same phrase may mean different things. We talked about that. Cultural and linguistic variations. So models trained on standard or minority or majority language, Cobra oftentimes will fail on non-dominant dialects and multilingual settings. And it might be like in a place that you can imagine. In the US, we have different usage for like the same word, like south, north, east, west, right? Make sense? Yeah. Even like in Virginia versus West Virginia, which is supposedly like one place at some point in time, right? Yeah. So West Virginia is different from Virginia. I lived in Virginia at the border of West Virginia, Great Falls, not border, but like in close, like Great Falls, like by the river. And then like if you drive 30 minutes, you are going to be in West Virginia, and then like going to a restaurant, you will have difficulty to understand like what they are talking about, right? Historical and power dynamics, misclassification tends to disproportionately affect those already at social disadvantage, and thus signifying the problem. Key insights, technically equivalent errors can be radically different, can have different impacts depending on who is misclassified and what the consequences are. I'll give you the example, simple one. Let's talk about like, simple metrics like accuracy. If you have an accuracy like ratio of 0.5, like a misclassification, 0.5 for a small class, what does that translate to? Like small class, say like 100 samples. It's going to be one, like 200 samples. It's going to be one, right? If you have like 1 million, right? It's going to be a large number. Now take it in the reverse. Let's say that you perfect your classification for the overall population and you got like 0.5 of misclassification. But that 0.5 happened to be like 90% for the small class, right? Because the small class is going to be perfect in the larger class. And then the numbers would like look nice, but then for the smaller class would be miserable. Make sense? Okay. So that is the issue. So like small error in one place could mean large error in another place. Understanding social context. So if you put those images together, then the majority class will be like, in this case, muffins. The dog would be muffin. And in the other class, it would be dogs, but then the hairstyle will classify those individuals as dogs. And the example, this is from a paper, the example that they had that paper in is that oftentimes African American women who have like, short hair would be classified as men. Make sense? So there's this classification. What do you say?
I understand, but it doesn't make sense.
It doesn't make sense, but for a machine, this is like, a machine. For a machine, it will be like, makes total sense. Absolutely. Because it like looks at the pixels. I don't know, like, why does it? What? It doesn't look anything like that. So anyway, some racist guy.
Those are dogs. Or
Dogs and muffins, like muffin, dog, muffin, like cake, dog. Yeah, it's like mixed.
There's a few of them that looks pretty good. And
Come-
There's a few where you're like, get this-
Oh, no. But the machine will take, like, say, like back then, the machine will say, like, all of them are like that. Okay, so learning to assess AI systems adversarially. Why adversarial assessment is important? AI systems do not fail uniformly, so they oftentimes fail uniformly or unfairly. And it's critical to analyze those to help uncover hidden assumptions, weaknesses, and harms. And especially important in NLP, where you have like sensitive applications. Key assessment dimensions, you can look into the ethics of the research questions. Is this something that is going to serve humanity in any meaningful way, right? Is the task itself ethically sound? Does it risk harm? How many of you, when they like do anything, say like, oh, this is going to be useful? It comes with age, by the way. And not because like, become like, well, become ethical, as we grow, hopefully. But like it comes as a matter of trying to optimize because you have a limited amount of energy, right? And then it's like, this is not worth my time, right? Even like sitting there, relaxing is going to be like, a plus for you than just like going and doing it. So, but I think we need to be intentional in what we do, especially like if you are developing some work, that could be used like in a harmful way, and asking that question: is the task itself ethically sound? Does it risk harm by design? Like, for example, inferring private traits like political beliefs or sexual orientation. Any places where sexual orientations could have like dire consequences, right? Here in the US, it is not really. Oh, well, in the US, it means something, right? Right? It means something. Like, people do not feel comfortable about like suppressing their sexual orientation in certain contexts, right? Many contexts. So impact and dual use risks. So who benefits from this technology? Who could be harmed? Again, we're talking about like the assessment ways of this. Could releasing this model or data reshape lives, policies, or institutions? Are safeguards in place to prevent misuse? All those questions need to be addressed. And then finally, maybe the weakest one of them, and that we look very little into, is the privacy and consent. Who owns this data? Was it collected ethically? Public does not equal publicized. So just because it is online does not mean it is free to use. And have users' expectations been respected? Any questions about this? How many of you that have done IRB? IRB, like IRB form, Institutional Review Board form. So you will go through those, right? You'll go through like a lot of those. Like, did you do the safeguards? Did you not, privacy, consent, whatnot? Okay. So key assessment dimensions continue. So we have bias in data, we have bias in models, and we have something beyond accuracy. It's called utility-based review. So bias in data are the hidden artifacts that shortcut learning. And then is there a population representation, like, age, gender, dialect, or region? How was data annotated and by whom? So, getting like, middle school kid to do like very highly sensitive cancer, breast cancer related image classification or labeling. Does that make any sense? The same thing for fraud, for example, or for credit scoring or whatnot. Yeah. So you have to have somebody who's expert in this. The second one is going to be like second one is number 5 or 6 is going to be bias in models. So are the confounding variables affecting outputs? Like name would imply race. It's funny that like names would typically give the race away, right? Right? Give me examples. Yeah, here we have to get fired because this is last lecture. Give me examples. Like James. What is the likelihood of James being white?
Very high, he's English.
Huh?
He's
James,
English.
right?
How about my name, Roberto?
Oh, Roberto, Italian. I'll put my money on that. Italian. Give me a name. I'll use myself as a stereotypical amplifier. Good.
Mohammed.
Muslim. It's like could be anything, but like Muslim for the most part.
Sharika.
Oh, African American. Yeah, give me.
Pedro.
Pedro. Portuguese, maybe Italian. Sorry, Spanish.
Why don't we
Spanish.
just name 2 states?
Portuguese or Spanish.
Spain.
Wanda.
Huh?
Wanda.
Wanda. That could be like an African American girl, but maybe like an old white woman.
She's African American and Puerto Rico.
Oh, okay, that's good. I got that.
I'll go with the classic Karen.
Oh. But that's like Karen is an idea. It's not like
Yeah, it's so Karen.
A man could be a Karen, right?
No, they're called Kens.
Huh?
He's a dare.
Oh,
Oh, yeah.
Now Karens are called Kens, I thought.
All right. Anything else? Yeah.
Let's use his name.
Hunter Schaefer.
Hector, how many?
Hunter Schaefer.
Hunter, I don't know. Hunter is like Trump's son, was that no Biden's son. That's only Hunter I know.
Oh,
And
God.
he's not that. Short. Yeah, was it?
Colton.
Bolton? Looks like a little bit.
Yeah, I have him.
Okay.
He's named after a guy.
Sounds like her.
What about David?
Oh, David is just like a brown person. I cannot imagine a David who's not brown. Yeah, but like, most of my, like, my friends were David. They're whites. Mostly. Okay, sounds good. So you can give away the race by the name, right? For the most part. Race by the name. So is the system optimizing the right objective, like fairness versus raw accuracy? Again, we said that when we talk about like a smaller class versus large class. Does it perform robustly? Oh, by the way, Beethoven, what is that? Beethoven.
Ludwig von Beethoven.
Huh?
His name is Ludwig von Beethoven.
That's the guy here.
Yeah.
We have a Beethoven here. The musician, yeah. The pianist. All right. So you cannot tell the name, right? That's a counterexample. Does it perform robustly in corner cases as well as another issue like minority examples and ambiguous inputs? Beyond accuracy, accuracy hides false positive, false negatives. Accuracy is as an aggregate marker. Misclassification of his speech as benign does not equal misclassification of a joke as offensive, right? We should learn how to take a joke. Consider fault tolerance. Is the system resilient to unexpected inputs or shifts? This is another thing that you need to consider. Algorithmic bias. So what is algorithmic bias? A systematic error in AI outputs. Emerges when models reflect, reproduce, or amplify societal or social, actually. Societal, because, societal is oftentimes positive. Like, this is the one that I have in my head. Like, whenever I use like the word societal, it has to be positive. Is that right? Societal impact. Like, it's oftentimes said in a positive context. Maybe social stereotypes. Yeah, societal stereotypes. Especially it's insidious in language models where words choice encode social meanings. Bias in language, so everyday language reflects social categories like gender, age, and class. I don't think that like this is like right now legal to teach in Florida universities, right? Is it? Yeah, yeah. We are in the process of removing this slide. Okay. But hear me out. Hear me out. Because I think that was like what we discussed in the Senate meeting, last meeting that we had, is that by there is a deadline for this. By June 15 of this year, this slide should be gone. Okay, so we are safe for now. So gender language like giggle versus laugh, more likely attributing to a woman. Brutal and fierce is going to be stereotypical gender usage for a man. Age-related framing like amazing, impressive, is frequently used for younger versus older individuals. Because it talks about gender. So the state doesn't like to talk about gender as a marker of discrimination. No, like it's DEI. Like they have a different kind of framing for it. It's a thing that has been, I think, accused in different contexts. Yeah, but then the current government is taking a position that in my view is extreme for that. I think there are certain things that are true. They are like challenges in our society. Like for example, women. Women are like underrepresented in most jobs. They have challenges in getting jobs. We talk about like AI. So if you are using AI for like screening, then they are going to be at a disadvantage because there is a bad representation. Similarly, like for young people, for example, if you want to apply for a job, and even if you have a lot of experience, but young at some point is not attractive for her because less experience, maybe in certain places like this is like reckless person can drink, whatnot, or married person can't stay overnight for the job and whatnot. So it gets abused. I think that people like the moralists who talk about why and maybe this, they say because the negative is outweighing the positive. I disagree. I think that certain categories of society have to be protected even in language. Okay, but that's a long story, right? We can talk about that later. All right, so we'll skip this one. Like age framing, amazing and impressive, oftentimes associated with young, not old. Classic associations, so suggestions versus proposals linked to perceived occupational status. Suggestion, like I'm suggesting to you, that comes from lower to upper. I'm proposing to you, right? Make sense? Yeah, but I suggest to students do something and they do not do it. Right, Johan? Yep. You just like throw my suggestion in the trash. All right, I should propose, right? I'll propose to you to this, right? And hold you accountable. All right, so why does this happen, those problems? Well, because language is not neutral by design, right? And even as society evolves, what is perceived as a neutral at some point in time would seem to be like left or right. I don't mean like left political or right political, but I mean like positive, negative, or whatever you want to say from neutral. Co-occurrence does not mean causality. So for example, if nurse co-occurs with she, the model may assume all nurses are women, right? How many of you, if I say nurse, the image that comes to your mind is a woman? Nurse, raise your hand. Right? Okay. If I say doctor, male? Yeah. What about surgeon? Engineer? Architect? Architect, woman? Really? Lawyer? You should not go to divorce courts, man. No men there. Right, no men there. What else? Any job, any profession. Thief. Always a man, right? A man, it's a masculine job, right? Like a thug, a gangster. It's like that word comes with the male kind of flavor in it, right? It's like gendered word in a way, right? Okay, so that's the point. We should find like the female gangster, okay? Not many of them. So consequences of that, again, like implicit bias in data is like latent. Oh, no, sorry. We were like a default social groups. So we intuitively recognize a default like male, young, able-bodied, white, educated. These groups become normative baselines. And so implicit bias in NLP models. So biases in data becomes latent representation, oftentimes unpredictable. And consequences of that is going to be harmful stereotypes in generation, unequal performance across demographic groups, and reinforcement of structural inequalities. Psychological perspectives of cognitive bias. Why this bias is inevitable even before AI? It's because of cognitive bias that originates from the human mind's built-in mechanisms, me and others, right? Make sense? So cognitive mechanisms behind that is going to be categorization as a shortcut. People like to label things. If you label like a group of people, you don't have to like, dig deeper into their like differences and try to understand like what's going on there. It's like a black box. Okay, let me bundle them, right? The police is bad, right? That's what people say. I don't believe so. My neighbors are policemen and they're like very nice. So that this is a good one, right? I'm just like putting a bias there, right? And they are good, as if they are supposed to be bad. Let's not go there. So categorization is oftentimes a shortcut in the cognitive world. And schemas and mental representations. So prior experience is abstracted and stored as a schema. And from that, we generalize. It just guides interpretation, memory, and behavior. It's like they said, like my neighbors are nice, so everybody should be nice. Once formed schemas are resistant to change. It's very difficult to change them, especially if they are coming at a young age from your social surrounding. Automatic activation, so encountering the category will just give you the association and can lead to unexamined judgments. Cognitive bias is also another issue, so systematic patterns of deviation from the rationality and judgment, and implications of that in NLP. AI models trained on human data inherit those issues. Word embeddings will inherit that, and NLP systems may reflect or even amplify stereotypes. Bias that affects human decision-making. So there's confirmation bias, in-group favorism, group attribution error. So confirmation bias, tendency to seek, interpret, and recall information that supports a pre-existing belief, as if we are talking with a teenager, right? Not teenager, even like preteen, right? Just like 12, 13 years old kids, right? So they try to dig for evidence, not to find the truth, but to support their argument in the first place, right? Even if that kind of evidence is non-existent in the general sense. So just support and back, actually, this is oftentimes just like the discourse that we have online that has this data. And so manifested in the models will reinforce users' bias in search, summarization, recommendation systems, etc. In a group favoritism, so a preference for individuals perceived as belonging to one's own social group. Need to say more? Do I need to say more? No, we see that all the time. So in back NLP, sentiments or trust models may favor dialects or cultural norms of majority groups. Group attribution errors, so assuming that behavior of a few group members reflects traits of the entire group. And then back in NLP is going to be stereotyping and generated text, etc. Another one is the halo effect. So the tendency of positive impressions of a person or concept to influence judgment of unrelated traits. So the impact is going to be positive sentiment towards authoritative sources may mask misinformation. Okay. And we see that like all the time with like those contractors just writing for The Guardian or CNN or Fox News. And then you'll find that, oh, this data has been fabricated. In fact, it has been using AI to generate that. You saw that like recently, somebody got fired from which outlet? Yeah, because they use like AI to generate something based on something that was not good, etc. Other notable biases, availability heuristics, so overestimating the importance of information that comes readily to mind, anchoring bias, so over-reliance on the first piece of information that you see. Like you go Google it, the first couple of results, oh, this is good. Fundamental attributes error, so over-attributing others' actions to character rather than context, right? That's why we have like a legal system that is not really obvious. Social stereotypes, these would include gender, race, disability, age, sexual orientation, culture, class or socioeconomic status, poverty, language and dialect, religion, and national origin. I'm not going to talk about those, but those are some of the markers for bias. And by the way, come June, I don't have to talk about this, right? So we can remove it and talk about like the algorithmic bias and whatnot. Bias in data sets from collection to annotation. So the selection can be an issue. So sampling bias, annotator selection bias, and annotator's cognitive bias. Okay. Where the social norms meet text, so stereotypes and prejudice. So text oftentimes encodes the gender, racial, cultural, and social bias. Toxic language and hostility, so hate speech, slurs, and discriminatory framing are disproportionately targeted at marginalized groups. I find, well, this is maybe a generational thing, but like I find it very difficult to kind of relate to this. I mean, like on TV, I can easily find that, but like talking to people of different, maybe because the way they talk to me maybe is not like the way that they talk otherwise, but talking to individuals in different contexts, like on the street, they would not manifest like a difference in the way that they speak. But maybe like my experience is very limited. So historical human bias, so language corpora reflects structural inequalities, again, because they just like represent the majority. Human reporting bias, so people write about what is interesting, shocking, or politically charged. This is something that I see in my comment section for the SPI. So people tend to talk about like either something that is good or something that is really bad. Okay, nothing in the middle. Nothing like is like, oh, this class was good, but these are like bad issues or whatnot. Is it like good all the way or bad all the way? Regardless what you do, just fill the SPI. A reminder, okay? Fill the SPI. Human reporting bias. So people write again about the interesting, shocking, or politically charged, not what is representative, and word frequencies and topics salience do not mirror the real world. Okay, so if you look like 3 black teenagers, Google it, what you will find. 3 white teenagers, what you'll find. Okay, that is a search, by the way, the result. I covered that, by the way. So there's a search result. If you would nurse, there are a couple of men there, but oftentimes women. Doctor, man. Actually, my family doctor is a woman, right? Well, it was a man, but then he's like, I'm tired of you. Just, he retired. And so like the next one was a woman. He recommended her to him. All right. Homemade. Oh, there are a couple of guys there. You see that? Right? But oftentimes not. CEO. Oh, there's a woman, but like otherwise not. Right? Professor. I agree with this one because in our department, we have a challenge like hiring women as professors. Like we have like 4. We have been like having 4 for forever. And whenever we hire someone, somebody steals her. Right. Some other university just like come and steals her. Right. So professors are oftentimes men, like yeah, professors.
Isn't the department chairwoman?
Come again?
Or the department chair, she's a woman, I thought?
Yeah, she is.
Perfect, yeah.
Yeah. But she's one of like how many? We have 1, 2, 3, 4. Maybe we have 5. Maybe 6 now. We are growing though, like 6 out of 70. Like when we were 4, we were 38. Now we are 70 and we have like 6, 7. It's the same ratio, 10%. That's good. Yeah, cap at 10%. So you cannot compete with that. Female students that we have in our department are 18%. 18%. In some other colleges, like 90%. Like health professions and whatnot, 90%. So like, it's not about stereotypes, but like, if you go online and say like, what is the best major for me? And you're a female, then it will say something like, engineers as females are a rarity, right? Even though females tend to do way better than males in high school math, which is the biggest indicator of success in engineering, right? Calc is the largest indicator for success in computer science, calculus, right? It's like the most significant indicator. But then I don't know, like, maybe they get the wrong advice for that. Anyway. Oh, remember that like some of the greatest programmers are women, right? Who programmed Apollo?
Who programmed Apollo?
Yeah. Huh? What's her name? Huh?
You can take your sleeve.
Yeah, what does it mean?
Oh.
My granddad.
I'll give a bonus, quarter point, do not check, not search. Yeah,
Captain Johnson.
Yeah.
Is that right?
Nineties, Captain Johnson?
yeah, I'll give him the quarter point. Come again?
I'll Google it.
Who's the programmer? Who's the programmer for Apollo? The female.
Hold on. Margaret Hamilton?
Yep.
It said Margaret Hamilton.
And who? And who? Females.
Yeah, she was
She was like a lead one, but other ones.
at NASA.
No, Apollo, at Apollo, yeah, for Apollo.
I just.
A couple of females. So like the programmers at the beginning were like females.
One of the people that found the bug in the computer, and that's why we call it.
That was Grace Hopper.
Grace Hopper.
Top.
Yes, yes. Okay, so overview of the study. This is study is called GADAR. This comes from China. It's a study about getting images and then telling the sexuality of individual from their image. And then what happened? Just like a very quick of this one, like in the story. What happened is that they were able to give a label gay, not gay, straight gay. And when they look at the images closely, this is like an ethical study. When you look at the images closely, if you do like you are gay, you are not gay. That's what happens, right? Okay. This is really what happened. So the more undefined facial morphology differences correlate with sexual orientation, claimed higher accuracy than human judgments, and technical methods. So input profile photos from dating websites labeled by users, state orientation, architecture, CNN trained on visual features, not NLP per se. So inferring a particular attribute, misuse of large scale data propping, and lack of constant and context and risk of reinforcing stereotypes. And the stereotype was the face. If you are smiling, you are, actually gay means happy, right? I think they were like looking into happy, not happy. I don't know. So that one. The second one, again, like this is a critique of it, major criticisms, spurious correlations, so background, image style, or grooming habits may be mistaken for inherent traits, privacy violations, reinforcing dangerous pseudoscience, and deployment risks. Expert response, so GLAD and HRC and numerous ethicists condemned the study and argued it could embolden discrimination and policy abuses. And it was done in China, where you cannot like really freely go like, I'm gay, right? So you just like be killed. Same like in Saudi Arabia or whatever other countries. So key ethical lapses, so ignoring downstream harm, no stakeholder consultation, and lack of robust causal inference or fairness auditing. The privacy, photo downloads from popular American dating website. Legal does not equal ethical in that context. So the data collection may have been technically legal, but again, legality does not imply moral acceptability. Public does not equal publicized, so you have to go there and find that, not below 20 people. Did these individuals agree to participate in the study? No informed consent, no opportunity to review or contest model usage, which means violation of the social contract, undermines public trust in researchers, which has been like a big issue here in the US because some people have done some crazy things out there as researchers. And so like right now, if somebody comes and says like, oh, this is a valid study that we have done on this and this and that, and it's indeed valid, people will not trust that. And that is because some issues have happened in the past that kind of break the trust. Okay, and violates the principles of respect of a person. Lessons, so shared concerns NLP models, so inference of private attributes, not good, risk of misuse and surveillance. Takeaways, just because something can be predicted does not mean it should be predicted. Ethical NLP requires understanding of the intent, consent, and consequences, and important for value-sensitive designs. Let's go over bias auditing and mitigations very quickly. So governance challenges of dual use NLP. This is a big issue that right now in the US, we are doing that through what? Through regulations, right? So for example, we have a policy at university level, at enterprise level, institutional level, whatnot, that try to determine if a technology is going to be dual use or not. So a lot of the students who get rejected from coming to the US is because they want to study something that has dual use. Either like advanced technology, like aerospace or quantum, or dual use, like AI, okay? Because AI is not advanced anymore, or it's advanced, but like not secret anymore. A lot of countries are already doing great with AI, but it's dual use, okay? So open access versus restrictions. So who can access, these are the limitations. Who can get access to powerful models? trade-off between democratization and misuse control, lack of regulation, so no binding international norms for AI safety and dual use prevention. Well, this is not the case anymore. EU has already done something. What is not the case is in the US. And I know that last month there was some debate in the Congress about that, right? Anybody following? Because how the regulation started in the US is by an executive order where the president said that companies should take over. See? Like the fox is, what they could say, like the fox is guarding the hens or something, right? Because those are going to be the stakeholders, not the stakeholders, but like the entities that are most likely to abuse. So that's like what happened in the US. In the EU, it was very strict, extremely strict, and very detailed kind of law. It's called the EU AI Act. And so now it is not the case, but in the US is the case, okay? So lack of regulations, no binding international norms for AI safety and dual use prevention. Oh, by the way, not binding between nations. So within like entities like EU, there is one. In China, there is one, but does not prevent, like say, for example, some companies in the EU from doing surveillance on, very unlikely, but does not prevent somebody from the US doing surveillance on some people in EU unless they are governed by GDPR or anything that has a foundation for it. This is one. Another one, responsible publication, so stage release, API gating, and so forth. Ethical question: should researchers participate every possible misuse or anticipate every possible misuse? It's very difficult, impossible. Is withholding a model ever justifiable? It's for you. Is it justifiable? There is no good answer for this. Yes, no? Yes? Okay, but then other people reach that kind of model, will develop that kind of model, and they will put us at this disadvantage. This is like the argument that the Department of War has, Department of Defense has made, right? Right? So what do you think? It depends on the use case. Yeah. All right, this is an open question. There is no like good answer for this. Mitigation approaches. So current mitigations would include access control. This is like the best one. Model watermarking attribution works when it works well, but does not work very often. Red teaming and abuse testing, and fine tuning with norms and safety filters. Unveiling biases in black box NLP models. Why is this important? Many high performing NLP models tend to be opaque, like black box. These models are actually designed to encode and amplify bias because they are trained on a large amount of data. And when you have like large amount of data, you cannot filter. You cannot like find out like what is it individually. So uncover bias is critical for trust, fairness, and safe deployment. Challenges: no access to the model weights. Outputs are context sensitive and stochastic, and bias may only surface in certain cases. Approaches to auditing: input output probing. This is the easiest. So you give an input, a prompt, and then you get the output and see if it is biased. Counterfactual testing. So this is based on counterexample. Bias benchmarks will include stereo set or a Krauss pair or whatnot. PBQ. Those are the sets that can be used to probe a system for certain types of bias. Influence functions and gradient-based analysis. Another one is representation bias analysis by investigating latent spaces. Governance, very quickly, because we have to finish this one. Data level protections will include created diversity, controlled sampling, metadata, and transparency using data documentation. And so right now, I think somebody from CMU, what is the name of the CMU person there? Lori Kenner. She just like had like those labels that you have on the food that tell you the calories. How many of you trust that? No, nobody should trust that. But like tell you the calories. She has also like what they call the privacy labels. Privacy labels, like on each product, you have to have a privacy label. So metadata and transparency. So use data documentation, like data sheets for data sets or privacy labels for any system to capture source, sampling, limitations, and whatnot. Sociocultural representation, so context-aware design, dialects, and register inclusion, and participatory annotation. Also modeling protection, so debiasing for words embeddings, counterfactual data augmentation, and adversarial training to make systems robust, and causal modeling. Evaluation analysis is also another dimension for bias protection. So you can do group level performance metrics. When we talk about like the small sample, the large sample, you have to take into account the small sample when you are calculating the accuracy. bias auditing and benchmarking, and error and impact analysis to look into how bias affects it, and interdisciplinary review, because not everything is about metrics. It's sometimes about the dimensions that are not oftentimes computational. Concluding remarks, fixing bias is about intentional choices, and building truly responsible NLP means transparency and preserving the social context at every step, and do the SPI. And this is it. Thank you so much. And very unlikely to see you, but see you around. Because, if you've taken my class, other class, these are like 2 classes I teach. Those who are online, do you have any questions? No questions? For 1, for 2, 3, 4? All right, thank you. So I teach